good evening, or perhaps good morning, depending on when you've stumbled across this corner of the world. Tonight, we're going to drift across continents, seas, and skies, uncovering 100 geography facts that may surprise you, soothe you, and hopefully carry you toward a calm night of sleep. Before we begin, I'd love to invite you to join this growing community. If you find yourself enjoying these stories of our planet, consider leaving a like or even subscribing, but only if it feels right to you. And I have a little ritual that makes these nights more special. Drop a comment letting us know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see this shared experience span across time zones and countries, connecting people who may never meet but who drift to the same gentle rhythm of knowledge and rest. So now, take a breath. Maybe dim your lights. Let a soft hum or fan play in the background, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Let's begin with something simple but profound. Our world has 193 United Nations recognized countries, along with 2 observer states, Vatican City and Palestine. That means when we talk about these 100 facts tonight, we're covering stories from a community of more than 8 billion people. Imagine that for a moment. Every fact tonight represents roughly 80 million lives, the size of Germany or the combined populations of South Africa and Romania. Fact number 1. Java is the most populated island in the world, with more than 145 million people living on it. That's nearly half of Indonesia's total population concentrated on just one stretch of land. To put that in perspective, Java alone holds more people than Russia, the largest country on Earth by size. The second most populated island, Honshu, in Japan, has over 100 million people, which means that 2 islands together contain almost as many humans as the entire United States. Fact number 2. While we often picture Sweden as endless forests and snowy landscapes, it actually holds the record for most islands in the world. Over 267,000 scattered islands belong to Sweden, though most of them are tiny, uninhabited, and often little more than mossy rocks rising out of the water. Compare that with Indonesia's 17,500 islands, a massive number, but only a fraction of Sweden's count. Fact number 3. One of the newest capital cities on our planet is Juba in South Sudan. The nation itself only became independent in 2011, and Juba was declared its capital in July of that year. Today, its population sits at just about 500,000. A humble but symbolic beginning for the world's youngest country. Now, let's drift over to a different scale. Not a city or an island, but an entire continent. South America covers just under 18 million square kilometers. Yet, astonishingly, one single country, Brazil, makes up 48% of both its land area and its population. To walk across Brazil would be to almost walk across the whole continent itself, and in fact, the country borders every South American nation except Chile and Ecuador. Here's a calming but striking fact about Asia. It's the largest continent, spreading across 44 million square kilometers and home to 4.7 billion people. That's nearly 60% of Earth's population, living on 30% of its landmass. Asia is also home to the world's 4 most populated cities by metro population: Tokyo, Jakarta, Delhi, and Seoul. All capitals, all megacities that pulse day and night with human energy. Tokyo alone counts more than 37 million people, making it the largest urban area on Earth. Imagine that. One city larger than the entire population of Canada. Let's move to Africa, where geography can be both vast and intimate. The largest country in Africa is Algeria, stretching across 2.4 million square kilometers. Algeria is desert, mountains, coastlines, and bustling cities, all at once. And its sheer size rivals some of the biggest countries in the world. Now, let's cool the pace, because one of geography's beauties lies in its oceans and seas. The largest sea on Earth isn't the Mediterranean or even the Caribbean, but the Philippine Sea, covering 5.7 million square kilometers. That's more space than two Argentinas combined, and far larger than many entire continents. Floating somewhere in the Pacific, it reminds us how much of Earth is truly ocean. Speaking of vastness, let's consider Greenland. Excluding continental landmasses, Greenland is the largest island in the world, covering more than 2.1 million square kilometers. Its icy expanse is sparsely populated, with only around 56,000 people living there. That means if you were to give every resident their own square kilometer, there would still be over 2 million left over. But sometimes, geography is about density, not emptiness. Consider Manhattan in New York City. Just one borough, yet it contains 1.6 million people, which is more than the entire population of Estonia, or Bahrain, or Fiji. It's a perfect example of how humans can pack into small spaces, building upward rather than outward. And here's something calming but profound. Nigeria is Africa's most populated country, home to over 224 million people. That's more than 15% of the entire continent's population. Yet, despite its size, it is still 6 times smaller in population than India, the world's most populous nation. Let us end this first part with a beautiful connector of land and sea. The Isthmus of Panama. It's a slender stretch of Earth, only about 50 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Yet it links North America to South America and the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. Without this small geographic feature, the continents we know as the Americas might not have been connected at all. And today, the Panama Canal, carved into that isthmus, is one of the most important trade routes in human history. Our world is full of contrasts like this: the crowded and the empty, the new and the ancient, the vast and the fragile. And we've only just begun. Let's drift now into the water, because more than 70% of our Earth is ocean. And in many ways, we know more about outer space than we do about the deep sea. The geography of the ocean is as dramatic, if not more so, than the geography of the land. Fact number 11. While the world has many familiar seas, the Caspian Sea often surprises people. Despite its name, it is technically the largest lake in the world by area, covering 371,000 square kilometers. It's so massive that it holds about 40% of all the lake water on Earth, more than enough to drown entire countries in fresh water if its contents were redistributed. Fact number 12. Beneath the surface of Russia lies Lake Baikal, the deepest lake on Earth, plunging to a depth of 1,642 meters. Scientists estimate it contains around 20% of the world's unfrozen fresh water, all in one place. If you stood at its shore, you'd be gazing into a body of water older than most civilizations, believed to have formed 25 million years ago. Fact number 13 takes us into the extraordinary and almost otherworldly. In Indonesia, the Kawah Ijen volcano isn't just a fiery mountain. It also produces blue lava. This isn't lava in the traditional sense, but sulfuric gases that ignite as they escape cracks in the volcano, burning in a neon blue flame that runs down its slopes in the night. It's a reminder that even our geography has colors we rarely imagine. Fact number 14. Speaking of extremes, let's consider waterfalls. The tallest waterfall in the world is Angel Falls in Venezuela, dropping a nearly unimaginable 979 meters from the tabletop mountain Tepui. To visualize that, imagine more than 2.5 Eiffel Towers stacked end to end, and you'd still be short of Angel Falls' full height. Fact number 15. Geography isn't only vertical, it's also about scale. The Amazon River is the largest in the world by volume, discharging so much water into the Atlantic Ocean every second that it could fill an Olympic swimming pool in less than 2 seconds. The river is so immense that it carries more water than the next 7 largest rivers combined. Now let's move to a different kind of water marvel. On average, it receives less than a millimeter of rain each year. To put that in perspective, London gets over 600 millimeters, and even deserts like the Sahara can receive more. Yet, life in Arica continues, proving that humans can adapt even where nature seems inhospitable. Fact number 17. Antarctica may be the coldest and most remote continent, but it has a geographic record of its own. Its average elevation is about 2,300 meters above sea level, which would make it the 5th highest country on Earth if it were one. Most of that height comes from ice sheets, which, in some places, are thicker than entire mountains. Fact number 18. If you've ever looked at a map of Europe, you might notice the Mediterranean Sea at its heart, but tucked deeper is the Adriatic Sea, with a coastline so rich in islands that Croatia alone has more than 1,200 of them. While not all are inhabited, many are breathtaking, making this region a hotspot for tourism and luxury travel. Fact number 19. Oceans are the stage for some of the world's busiest pathways. The Dover Strait, also called the English Channel, is the busiest shipping lane in the world, with more than 500 ships crossing it every single day. That means that as you drift to sleep tonight, dozens of tankers, ferries, and cargo ships are sliding across those waters, keeping economies and people connected. Fact number 20. While oceans divide, they also unite. The U.S.-Canada border is the longest international border on Earth, stretching 8,890 kilometers, much of it following lakes and rivers. And what's fascinating is how peaceful this boundary is. For much of it, there are no fences or walls, just forests, waters, and an invisible line separating two of the largest nations on Earth. Fact number 21. Staying with borders, but moving east. Russia and China share the longest continuous land border in the world, stretching over 4,200 kilometers. It weaves through mountains, rivers, and plains. A reminder of how geography often shapes not just landscapes, but politics, trade, and history. Fact number 22. The Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean is the deepest point on Earth, descending to nearly 11,000 meters below sea level at Challenger Deep. If you were to drop Mount Everest into the trench, its summit would still be submerged by more than a kilometer of water. The pressure down there is so intense that it would crush a human submarine like a tin can, and yet, life still exists in those depths. Fact number 23. Even the air above our oceans tells a geographic story. The Pacific is home to the largest waves on Earth, often rising over 20 meters during storms. Surfers travel thousands of kilometers in search of these giants, risking their lives for a few seconds of ride along nature's raw power. Fact number 24. Closer to the Arctic, the Greenland ice sheet is melting at an alarming pace. Each year, it loses billions of tons of ice, contributing to global sea level rise. If it were to melt entirely, sea levels would rise by about 7 meters, enough to flood entire coastal cities worldwide. Geography, in this sense, isn't just fascinating. It's also deeply tied to our future. Fact number 25. Not all seas are salty. In fact, the Caspian Sea and Lake Superior both have unique water chemistry. Lake Superior, the largest of the Great Lakes in North America, contains so much fresh water that it could cover both North and South America in a foot of water. Standing at its shore, you might feel as though you're looking at an ocean, but it's drinkable, fresh water stretching to the horizon. Our oceans and lakes remind us that geography isn't fixed. It's alive, moving, shifting, shaping our world in ways both visible and invisible. And as we drift deeper into this journey, we'll discover that land is just as full of wonders as the sea. We floated across oceans and seas, but now let's look upward, toward the mountains that rise like guardians over continents. Mountains are some of Earth's most dramatic features, shaping cultures, climates, and even myths. Fact number 26. The most famous, of course, is Mount Everest. Standing at 8,849 meters above sea level, it is the tallest point on Earth. Every year, hundreds of climbers attempt to reach its summit. But the mountain demands respect. Thin air, brutal winds, and avalanches make it one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Yet despite its danger, Everest continues to symbolize human endurance and ambition. Fact number 27. Everest may be the tallest above sea level, but if we measure from base to peak, the true tallest mountain is Mauna Kea in Hawaii. From its base on the ocean floor to its summit, it rises 10,210 meters, even higher than Everest. The only difference is that much of Mauna Kea lies hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. Fact number 28. Mountains aren't just about height. The Andes in South America form the longest continental mountain range in the world, stretching over 7,000 kilometers from Venezuela all the way to Chile. This immense backbone of a continent is home to volcanoes, glaciers, deserts, and some of the world's highest cities, like La Paz in Bolivia. Fact number 29. The Himalayas, the range that holds Everest, also contain more than 110 peaks above 7,000 meters, making it the highest concentration of tall mountains anywhere on Earth. To put that into perspective, only 14 mountains worldwide rise above 8,000 meters, and all of them are located in the Himalayas and its neighboring Karakoram range. Fact number 30. The tallest volcano in the world is Hoyos del Salado, located between Chile and Argentina, rising to 6,893 meters. It is not only a mountain of fire, but also the site of the highest permanent body of water on Earth, a crater lake sitting near its summit, quietly reflecting the sky. Speaking of fire, let's look at Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, the tallest mountain in Africa. Standing at 5,895 meters. Unlike many other tall peaks, Kilimanjaro is a freestanding mountain, rising out of the plains in isolation. Its snow-capped peak in the middle of the tropics is one of the most iconic sights on the continent. Fact number 32. In Europe, the tallest peak is Mount Elbrus in the Caucasus Mountains of Russia. At 5,642 meters, it surpasses even Mont Blanc in the Alps, though many tourists don't realize it. The Caucasus Range actually forms a boundary between Europe and Asia, making Elbrus both a geographical and cultural symbol. Fact number 33. Sometimes mountains tell stories of myth. Take Mount Fuji in Japan, standing at 3,076 meters. Beyond being Japan's tallest mountain, it is a sacred site, appearing in countless works of art, poetry, and folklore. Each year, more than 300,000 people climb Fuji, many beginning their journey at night so they can see the sunrise from its summit. Fact number 34. The Rocky Mountains in North America stretch for nearly 4,800 kilometers, cutting through both Canada and the United States. Their tallest peak, Mount Elbert in Colorado, stands at 4,401 meters. These mountains played a vital role in shaping American history, acting as a barrier to westward expansion until pioneers eventually carved routes through them. Fact number 35. The Drakensberg Mountains of South Africa rise like stone walls, with sheer cliffs and rolling ridges that create one of the most dramatic landscapes on the continent. The range is also home to ancient rock art painted by the Sand People thousands of years ago, proving that geography and culture are always intertwined. Fact number 36. One of the world's strangest mountains is Mount Roraima, a tabletop mountain, or tepui, that sits at the border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana. Its sheer vertical cliffs rise nearly 400 meters, with a flat summit that inspired stories of lost worlds, and even Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, The Lost World. Looking at Roraima, it's easy to imagine dinosaurs roaming its plateau. Fact number 37. Not all mountains reach for the sky. In fact, the lowest mountain in the world is Mount Whiteproof in Australia, standing at just 43 meters above the surrounding plain. Locals joke that it's one of the few mountains you can casually walk up in under 10 minutes. Fact number 38. Mountains also shape weather. The Himalayas block cold winds from Central Asia, which is one reason India's climate is far warmer and wetter than it otherwise would be. Without this colossal barrier, the monsoon rains that sustain millions of lives might not even exist. Fact number 39. Another unusual fact is that Chimborazo, in Ecuador, though only 6,263 meters tall, is actually the farthest point from the Earth's center, because the planet bulges at the equator. Chimborazo's summit sits about 2,100 meters farther from Earth's core than Everest's. That means, if you measure by distance from the center of the Earth, Chimborazo is technically the tallest mountain. Fact number 40. And finally, let's return to the Alps, Europe's most famous mountain range. Though smaller than the Himalayas or Andes, the Alps stretch across 8 countries and are home to some of the world's most visited landscapes. With their glaciers, ski resorts, and alpine villages, the Alps remind us that mountains can be places of both survival and luxury. Mountains, in all their forms, icy, fiery, ancient, or young, remind us that our planet is restless. Continents shift, volcanoes erupt, glaciers carve valleys, and new peaks rise even as old ones wear down. They are Earth's giants, always changing, always reshaping the land below. We've climbed the mountains, so now let's descend into the dry, vast silence of the deserts, the places where survival is tested, where the horizon seems endless, and where geography becomes both harsh and beautiful. Fact number 41. The Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world, covering 9.2 million square kilometers. That's almost the size of the entire United States or all of China. Though many imagine it as endless dunes, only about a quarter of the Sahara is sand. The rest is rocky plateaus, gravel plains, mountains, and even oases where people have lived for thousands of years. Fact number 42. The largest desert overall, however, isn't the Sahara. It's Antarctica. Despite being covered in ice, it receives so little precipitation that it qualifies as a polar desert. In fact, 2/3 of Earth's fresh water is locked inside Antarctic ice. Yet, it is one of the driest places on the planet. Fact number 43. Deserts can also be surprisingly cold. The Gobi Desert, stretching across northern China and southern Mongolia, experiences temperatures from -40 degrees Celsius in winter to 45 degrees Celsius in summer. This dramatic swing makes it one of the harshest climates for both people and wildlife. Fact number 44. The Atacama Desert in Chile is the driest non-polar desert in the world. Some parts of it have not seen measurable rainfall for over 400 years, including some of the world's largest reserves of copper and lithium, essential for modern electronics and batteries. Fact number 45. Speaking of life in deserts, the Sahara actually blooms every few decades. After rare heavy rains, entire regions burst with flowers, grasses, and temporary lakes. It's a reminder that deserts are not lifeless, but landscapes waiting for the smallest touch of water to come alive. Fact number 46. The Kalahari Desert in southern Africa is often called a desert, but technically it receives too much rain to be one, around 100 to 500 millimeters per year. Because of this, it supports a surprising amount of wildlife, including lions, giraffes, and meerkats, along with the sand people who have thrived there for centuries. Fact number 47. The Namib Desert in Namibia is thought to be the oldest desert on Earth, with its arid conditions dating back at least 55 million years. Its giant red sand dunes, some of which rise over 300 meters, are among the tallest in the world, sculpted endlessly by the wind. Fact number 48. Deserts aren't always vast. Some are surprisingly small. The Carcross Desert in Canada is often called the smallest desert in the world, covering just 2.6 square kilometers. It looks like a tiny patch of sand dunes surrounded by forests and mountains. Fact number 49. Even in deserts, water sometimes flows in unusual ways. The Okavango Delta in Botswana is a massive inland delta where a river disappears into the sands of the Kalahari. Each year, seasonal floods create one of the world's richest ecosystems, drawing elephants, hippos, and countless birds to this unlikely oasis. Fact number 50. Desert temperatures can push human limits. The highest recorded air temperature on Earth was 56.7 degrees Celsius, 134 degrees Fahrenheit, measured in Death Valley, California, in 1913. Even today, summer temperatures there regularly climb above 50 degrees Celsius, making it one of the hottest inhabited places on Earth. Fact number 51. Yet, Death Valley also holds another extreme, Badwater Basin, which lies 86 meters below sea level, is the lowest point in North America. Just 136 kilometers away is Mount Whitney, the highest point in the contiguous United States, creating a dramatic contrast in elevation within a short drive. Fact number 52. Deserts don't just shape landscapes, they shape cultures. The Silk Road, one of history's greatest trade routes, wound its way across Central Asia's deserts, linking China with the Middle East and Europe. Caravans of camels carried silk, spices, and ideas, all while braving the barren stretches of sand and stone. Fact number 53. Not all deserts are natural. Human activity can create them too. The process of desertification, often caused by deforestation, overgrazing, or climate change, turns fertile land into barren dust. Today, parts of the Sahel region in Africa are at risk of becoming extensions of the Sahara, threatening the livelihoods of millions. Fact number 54. Despite their severity, deserts are also places of beauty. Imagine standing at the crest of the Rub al-Khali, or empty quarter, in the Arabian Peninsula. This is the largest continuous sand desert in the world, with dunes rising over 250 meters high. As the sun sets, the sands glow orange, red, and gold. A silent ocean of waves, frozen in time. Fact number 55. And finally, let's remember that deserts, like all of Earth's landscapes, are not permanent. With shifting winds, changing climates, and human influence, they expand, contract, and transform over time. What seems eternal in geography is often just a chapter in a much longer story. Deserts remind us of extremes, the driest, the hardest, the harshest. Yet, in those extremes, life still finds a way. And humans, too, have adapted, crossing and settling in these lands for millennia. From deserts of silence, let's follow the sound of water once again. This time, not in oceans or lakes, but in rivers and valleys, the veins of our planet. Rivers carve continents, sustain civilizations, and often define borders. Stretching 6,650 kilometers through 11 countries. For thousands of years, its floods gave birth to one of the earliest civilizations, ancient Egypt. Even today, more than 95% of Egyptians live along its fertile banks. Fact number 57. Yet, some argue that the Amazon River is actually longer. Recent studies show that if you measure from one of its furthest tributaries, the Amazon could reach 6,800 kilometers, possibly surpassing the Nile. What is undisputed, however, is that the Amazon carries more water than any other river on Earth. About 20% of all river water entering the oceans. Fact number 58. The Yangtze River in China, at 6,300 kilometers, is the longest river in Asia and the third longest in the world. Its basin is home to nearly 1/3 of China's population, more than 400 million people, making it one of the most important lifelines on the planet. Fact number 59. In Europe, the Volga River holds the record as the continent's longest, flowing 3,530 kilometers through Russia. It's not just long, it's deeply symbolic, often called Mother Volga, and it empties into the Caspian Sea, carrying both history and culture along its length. Fact number 60. Rivers also create some of the most dramatic landscapes. The Grand Canyon in Arizona, carved by the Colorado River over millions of years, stretches 446 kilometers long, up to 29 kilometers wide, and more than 1,800 meters deep. Standing on its rim, you're gazing into nearly 2 billion years of geological history. Fact number 61. The Danube River in Europe flows through more countries than any other river in the world, a total of 10 nations, rising in Germany's Black Forest and emptying into the Black Sea. It has been a cultural and commercial highway for centuries. Fact number 62. Rivers don't always end where you expect. The Okavango River in Africa never reaches the sea. Instead, it spreads into the sands of Botswana to form the Okavango Delta, a massive wetland oasis in the middle of the desert, teeming with wildlife. Fact number 63. In South Asia, the Ganges River is considered sacred by millions. It supports more than 400 million people with water for drinking, farming, and industry. It's one of the most densely populated river basins in the world. Fact number 64. In North America, the Mississippi River stretches 3,766 kilometers, making it the second longest on the continent. Flowing through 10 states, it has been a key artery for trade, culture, and history, from Native American settlements to the steamboat era and beyond. Fact number 65. Rivers can even vanish. The Yellow River in China, often called the cradle of Chinese civilization, has dried up multiple times before reaching the sea due to overuse for agriculture and industry. Despite being 5,464 kilometers long, its waters are stretched thin by human demand. Fact number 66. Sometimes, rivers change the course of nations. The Rio Grande, marking much of the border between the United States and Mexico isn't just a river. It's a political boundary. Geography here directly shapes international relations. Fact number 67. Valleys, too, tell incredible stories. The Great Rift Valley in East Africa stretches over 6,000 kilometers, splitting the continent apart. It's not only a geographic wonder, but also the birthplace of humanity, where some of the earliest human fossils have been discovered. Fact number 68. In India, entire communities live here, surrounded by the river's shifting waters. Fact number 69. Waterfalls are rivers caught in motion. The Inga Falls on the Congo River in Africa aren't the tallest or the widest, but they are the largest by flow of water, carrying more than 25 times the flow of Niagara Falls during peak discharge. Fact number 70. And finally, for rivers. Consider the Yangtze's Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric power station in the world. Spanning more than 2.3 kilometers across the river, it produces enough electricity to power tens of millions of homes. But it also displaced more than 1 million people and flooded entire towns, showing how humans reshape rivers as much as rivers shape us. Rivers and valleys remind us of movement. They carry water, life, culture, and history, forever carving, flowing, and transforming the lands they cross. So far, we've traveled through Earth's natural wonders, oceans, mountains, deserts, and rivers. But geography is not just landscapes. It's also about us, the cities we've built, the borders we've drawn, and the ways humans shape the land and are shaped by it. Fact number 71. The largest city in the world by population is Tokyo, Japan. With more than 37 million people living in its metropolitan area, imagine an entire country packed into one megacity. Tokyo is busier than Canada is populous. Fact number 72. The largest city by land area is New York City's metropolitan region, covering over 12,000 square kilometers. But if we're talking just the official city boundary, Ulaanbaatar in China is enormous, stretching across 263,953 square kilometers, bigger than the entire United Kingdom. Fact number 73. The highest city on Earth is La Rinconada in Peru. Sitting at about 5,100 meters above sea level. Life here is tough. Oxygen is scarce. Winters are brutal, and most people work in nearby gold mines. Yet more than 30,000 people call this extreme city home. Fact number 74. Some cities are split across countries. The most famous example is Istanbul in Turkey, which lies on 2 continents, Europe and Asia, separated by the Bosporus Strait. It's one of the few cities in the world where crossing a bridge means stepping from one continent into another. Fact number 75. Another unusual border city is Barl, shared between Belgium and the Netherlands. The border zigzags through streets, restaurants, and even houses. Some buildings are literally split in half, with front doors in different countries. Fact number 76. The world's smallest country is Vatican City, an independent state entirely inside Rome, with an area of just 0.49 square kilometers. It's smaller than most shopping malls. Despite its size, It's the spiritual center for over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. Fact number 77. The world's largest country, in contrast, is Russia. Spanning 17.1 million square kilometers across 11 time zones. To put it in perspective, when the sun rises in one part of Russia, it's already setting in another. Fact number 78. Some countries are split into fragments. For example, Alaska is part of the United States, but it's separated from the mainland by Canada. This makes it an exclave, a piece of a country that isn't directly connected to the rest. Fact number 79. The longest international border is between Canada and the United States, stretching 8,891 kilometers. What's remarkable is that, despite being the longest border in the world, much of it is undefended, just forests, lakes, and quiet land. Fact number 80. The shortest border in the world is between Botswana and Zambia at only 150 meters long. You could walk across it in less than a minute. Fact number 81. Speaking of borders, some are truly unusual. There's a point in Africa called Kazungila where 4 countries nearly meet: Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Their borders touch in such a way that if you stand in the right spot, you can see 4 nations at once. Fact number 82. Cities also grow upward, not just outward. The tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, rising 828 meters into the sky. To put that into perspective, it's nearly 3 times the height of the Eiffel Tower. Fact number 83. The oldest continuously inhabited city is Damascus in Syria, with human settlement dating back more than 11,000 years. Despite wars and upheavals, people have never stopped living there. Fact number 84. The youngest country in the world is South Sudan, which declared independence from Sudan in 2011. Geography is still alive and changing. Borders aren't as permanent as they sometimes seem. Fact number 85. Finally, let's return to a city most people know: Venice, Italy. Built on more than 100 islands. It has canals instead of streets and gondolas instead of cars. But Venice is slowly sinking, and rising sea levels threaten its survival. A reminder that even human geography depends on the forces of nature. Cities and borders show how people adapt to geography and how they sometimes fight against it. They grow where rivers flow, where mountains rise, and where trade routes connect. Yet, no matter how permanent they seem, cities and nations change, just like landscapes do. After exploring cities and borders, let's sail out to the islands, scattered jewels of land across the oceans. Some are massive, others tiny, but all of them hold stories of geography, culture, and survival. Fact number 86. The largest island in the world is Greenland, covering 2.16 million square kilometers. Though politically tied to Denmark, it's geographically part of North America. Despite its size, only about 56,000 people live there, making it one of the least densely populated places on Earth. Fact number 87. Australia is not considered the world's largest island, but a continent. Why? Because of its unique geology, size, and tectonic independence. If it were considered an island, it would easily dwarf Greenland. Fact number 88. The second largest island is New Guinea. Split between Papua New Guinea in the east and Indonesia in the west. It is also one of the most biologically diverse places on Earth, with species still being discovered in its dense rainforests. Fact number 89. The Philippines is made up of more than 7,600 islands, but surprisingly, only about 2,000 of them are inhabited. Fact number 90. Indonesia takes it even further. It's the largest archipelago nation with around 17,500 islands, stretching across the equator for more than 5,000 kilometers. That's almost the distance between New York and London. Fact number 91. Not all islands are natural. Palm Jumeirah in Dubai is a man-made island shaped like a palm tree, built from sand and rock. From above, it's one of the most recognizable human-made structures on Earth. Fact number 92. The islands, located about 1,000 kilometers off Ecuador, are famous for inspiring Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Each island has unique wildlife, from giant tortoises to marine iguanas, that adapted in isolation. Fact number 93. The Maldives in the Indian Ocean is the lowest-lying country in the world, with an average ground level of just 1.5 meters above sea level. Rising oceans threaten its very existence, making it one of the most vulnerable nations to climate change. Fact number 94. One of the most remote inhabited islands is Tristan da Cunha. Located in the South Atlantic Ocean, fewer than 300 people live there, and the nearest continent, Africa, is more than 2,400 kilometers away. Fact number 95. Madagascar, the fourth largest island in the world, is sometimes called the eighth continent because of its unique wildlife. Over 90% of its animals are found nowhere else on Earth, including lemurs, baobab trees, and rare chameleons. Fact number 96. Japan is another island nation consisting of over 14,000 islands. But most people live on just 4 of them: Honshu, Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku. Together, they form the cultural and economic heart of Japan. Fact number 97. Some islands vanish. Surtsey, a volcanic island off Iceland, emerged from the sea in 1963 after an eruption. Scientists use it as a natural laboratory to study how life colonizes brand new land. Fact number 98. The largest uninhabited island in Canada, with an area of 55,000 square kilometers. It's so barren and rocky that NASA uses it to test equipment for Mars missions. Fact number 99. Islands can also shift identity. Iceland, despite its name, is surprisingly green compared to Greenland. This naming confusion traces back to Viking settlers who may have used the names strategically to mislead enemies. Fact number 100. And finally, let's not forget Easter Island, famous for its mysterious stone statues, or Moai. Located thousands of kilometers from South America, it reminds us how humans have long traveled vast oceans, leaving behind legacies even in the most remote corners of the world. Islands are worlds within worlds, places of isolation and connection, resilience and fragility. They're testaments to how land, water, and life constantly interact. We've sailed the islands, but now let's look up to the skies, storms, and climates that shape life on Earth. Geography isn't just land and water, it's also the air we breathe and the weather we face. Fact number 101. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth. Fact number 102. The hottest inhabited place on Earth is Dalyeel, Ethiopia, where the average annual temperature is about 34.6 degrees Celsius, 94 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a land of boiling springs, acid pools, and colorful salt flats. Fact number 103. The wettest place on Earth is Mawsynram, India, where it rains an average of 11,871 millimeters, 467 inches per year. That's nearly 12 meters of rainfall. Imagine standing under a waterfall year-round. Fact number 104. On the other extreme, the driest inhabited place is Arica, Chile, where the average annual rainfall is less than 1 millimeter. Yet people still live there, relying on moisture collected from fog. Fact number 105. The strongest wind speed ever recorded on Earth was 407 kilometers per hour, 253 miles per hour. During Tropical Cyclone Olivia in Australia in 1996, that's faster than most Formula One cars. Fact number 106. The hottest ground temperature ever recorded was in Death Valley, California, where the surface sand reached 93.9 degrees Celsius, 201 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to fry an egg, and people have actually tried. Fact number 107. The snowiest place on Earth is Aomori City in Japan, which receives around 8 meters of snow every winter. Entire streets disappear under thick white blankets, and snow walls taller than buses are common. Fact number 108. Hurricanes and typhoons are the same phenomenon. Massive tropical storms, but their names depend on location. In the Atlantic and Northeast Pacific, they're called hurricanes. In Asia, they're called typhoons. In the South Pacific and Indian Ocean, they're cyclones. Fact number 109. The deadliest tropical cyclone in history struck Bangladesh in 1970. Known as the Bola cyclone, it killed up to 500,000 people, reminding us how geography and weather together can shape human destiny. Fact number 110. The world's largest desert of ice, Antarctica, is also the windiest continent, with gusts exceeding 320 kilometers per hour. These katabatic winds rush down from the high ice sheet with incredible force. Fact number 111. The tallest cloud formations are thunderstorm cumulonimbus clouds, which can grow over 20 kilometers high, taller than Mount Everest. From space, they look like giant mushroom towers reaching into the stratosphere. Fact number 112. The Sahara Desert, despite its heat, can actually get freezing nights, dropping below 0 degrees Celsius in winter. Sand loses heat quickly once the sun disappears, creating an environment of extremes. Fact number 113. The deadliest heat wave in modern history happened in Europe in 2003, claiming more than 70,000 lives. Cities are often the most vulnerable, as heat gets trapped in concrete and asphalt, a phenomenon known as the urban heat island effect. Fact number 114. Lightning strikes the Earth about 8 million times per day. The most lightning-prone place is Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, where storms can happen up to 260 nights a year, lighting up the sky almost nightly. Fact number 115. The rainiest single day ever recorded was an island in the Indian Ocean. Fact number 116. And finally, the hottest temperature ever recorded in the Arctic was 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, in Siberia in 2020. This shocking record is a sign of how climate change is rapidly reshaping the coldest corners of our planet. Climate and weather extremes remind us of Earth's power, the forces above us that we cannot control, only adapt to. From snow to sand, storms to silence, the atmosphere is as much a part of geography as land and sea. Beyond deserts, rivers, and weather, much of Earth's identity is shaped by forests and ecosystems, the living blankets that cover our world and sustain all life. Number 117. The Amazon rainforest is the largest rainforest on Earth, spanning 5.5 million square kilometers across 9 countries. It produces about 20% of the world's oxygen, earning it the nickname, the lungs of the Earth. Fact number 118. The Congo rainforest in Central Africa is the second largest, covering 1.8 million square kilometers. It is home to gorillas, forest elephants, and one of the greatest carbon sinks in the world. Fact number 119. The taiga, or boreal forest, is the largest land biome on Earth, stretching across Canada, Russia, Alaska, and Scandinavia. It covers more than 17 million square kilometers, making it bigger than the entire United States. Fact number 120. Rainforests may be lush, but they grow on surprisingly poor soil. Most of the nutrients are stored in the plants themselves. When forests are cut down, the soil quickly loses fertility, making regrowth difficult. Fact number 121. The oldest living tree is a bristlecone pine in California's White Mountains, estimated at over 4,800 years old. It sprouted around the same time the pyramids of Egypt were being built. Fact number 122. The largest tree by volume is General Sherman, a giant sequoia in California's Sequoia National Park, standing 83 meters tall and weighing an estimated 1,900 tons. It's more massive than a dozen blue whales combined. Fact number 123. The Amazon River Basin alone is home to over 400 billion trees, representing more than 16,000 different species. Fact number 124. The savanna ecosystems of Africa, like the Serengeti, are not dense forests, but grasslands dotted with trees. They host the largest concentration of large mammals on Earth, from lions and elephants to wildebeest and giraffes. Fact number 125. Forests also exist underwater. Kelp forests, made of giant seaweeds, grow in cold coastal waters. They can reach 60 meters in height, creating underwater jungles that shelter thousands of marine species. Fact number 126. The mangrove forests found along tropical coastlines are unique because their trees grow in salty seawater. Their twisted roots protect shorelines from erosion and provide nurseries for fish. Fact number 127. The smallest rainforest in the world is the Daintree Rainforest in Australia, covering about 1,200 square kilometers. Despite its small size, it's one of the oldest rainforests, estimated at 180 million years old. Fact number 128. The Valdivian Temperate Rainforest in Chile and Argentina is one of the only temperate rainforests in the southern hemisphere. Its towering alerce trees can live for more than 3,500 years. Fact number 129. Forests influence weather. The Amazon creates its own rainfall by releasing water vapor through a process called transpiration. Without its trees, the entire regional climate would collapse. Fact number 130. Deforestation is happening at a staggering rate. Every year, the planet loses about 10 million hectares of forest, an area the size of Iceland. This affects biodiversity, weather, and the balance of Earth's ecosystems. Forests are more than just trees. They are living systems, ancient and fragile, shaping not just landscapes, but the very air we breathe. Now let's wander into some of Earth's strangest places, the oddities of geography that don't quite fit anywhere else. These are the mysteries, the wonders, and the landscapes that almost seem otherworldly. Fact number 131. In Death Valley, California. There are rocks that mysteriously move across the desert floor, leaving long trails behind them. For years, no one knew why. Scientists now believe thin sheets of ice and wind push them slowly across the playa. Fact number 132. There's a lake in Tanzania called Lake Natron that can literally turn animals into stone, or, at least, make them look that way. The water is so alkaline that it calcifies creatures that fall, in preserving them in eerie, statue-like form. Fact number 133. The Dead Sea. Located between Israel and Jordan, is one of the saltiest bodies of water in the world. With salt levels around 10 times higher than most oceans, people can float effortlessly on its surface. Fact number 134. In Mexico's peninsula, there are thousands of cenotes, or natural sinkholes filled with water. The ancient Maya considered them sacred, believing they were portals to the underworld. Fact number 135. The boiling river of the Amazon, called Xanatimpishka, runs for more than 6 kilometers and is so hot, up to 94 degrees Celsius, 201 degrees Fahrenheit, that animals falling in are instantly cooked. Scientists are still studying its geothermal source. Fact number 136. In Croatia's Plitvice Lakes National Park, waterfalls constantly reshape the land. The calcium-rich waters deposit new limestone barriers, so the lakes and falls are always changing in size and flow. Fact number 137. Lake Hillier in Australia is bubblegum pink. Unlike other colored lakes, its striking hue is permanent and comes from unique algae and bacteria that thrive in the salty waters. Fact number 138. In Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni salt flats stretch for more than 10,000 square kilometers. After rainfall, they turn into the world's largest natural mirror, perfectly reflecting the sky. Fact number 139. The Okavango Delta in Botswana is unusual because it doesn't flow into the sea. Instead, the river spreads into the desert, creating a lush inland delta that supports elephants, hippos, and countless birds. Fact number 140. Crater Lake in Oregon, USA, is the deepest lake in the United States, formed when a massive volcano collapsed. Its water is so clear and pure that visibility can reach over 40 meters deep. Fact number 141. In Namibia, there's a place called Detley, a white clay pan surrounded by towering red dunes. Inside, it stand centuries-old, blackened tree skeletons, preserved by the desert air, looking like a surreal painting. Fact number 142. Baikal Lake in Russia is the deepest lake in the world, plunging to 1,642 meters. It holds about 20% of all unfrozen fresh water on the planet, more than all the Great Lakes of North America combined. Fact number 143. In Iceland, geysers regularly shoot boiling water into the air. The word geyser itself actually comes from the Great Geyser, one of Iceland's most famous hot springs. Fact number 144. Pamukkale in Turkey looks like a staircase made of white clouds. It's formed by hot springs depositing calcium carbonate, creating terraces of shimmering blue pools. Fact number 145. And finally, the marble caves of Patagonia on the border of Chile and Argentina glow with swirling blue and white reflections as sunlight bounces off the turquoise waters inside. They're among the most beautiful caves on Earth. These oddities remind us that geography isn't just mountains and rivers. It's also wonder, mystery, and places that feel like they belong in dreams. After exploring deserts and tropical wonders, let's journey to Earth's extremes, the frozen worlds of the Arctic and Antarctica. These icy realms hold some of the most dramatic geography on the planet. Fact number 146. The Arctic isn't a continent at all, but an ocean covered by drifting sea ice. Unlike Antarctica, which is land under ice, the Arctic is floating, seasonal, and constantly shifting. Fact number 147. The Antarctic ice sheet is the largest single mass of ice on Earth, holding about 60% of the world's fresh water. If it were to melt completely, global sea levels would rise by more than 58 meters. Fact number 148. The coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth is Oymyakon, Russia, where winter temperatures can drop below -50 degrees Celsius, -58 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite this, a small community of people still live there. Fact number 149. Antarctica has no permanent residents, only rotating teams of scientists. In summer, about 4,000 people live at research stations. Fact number 150. The largest glacier in the world is Lambert Glacier in Antarctica, stretching more than 400 kilometers long and about 100 kilometers wide. It's roughly the size of West Virginia. Fact number 151. Greenland's ice sheet is melting at an accelerating rate. it loses around 280 billion tons of ice per year, contributing significantly to rising sea levels. Fact number 152. Beneath Antarctica's ice lies Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes on Earth. It has been sealed off for millions of years, and scientists believe it may contain unknown forms of microbial life. Fact number 153. The aurora borealis, northern lights, and aurora australis, southern lights, are not just light shows. They're caused by solar particles colliding with Earth's magnetic field, painting the polar skies in green and purple. Fact number 154. Antarctica is technically a desert. Despite all its ice, it receives less than 50 millimeters of precipitation per year, making it drier than the Sahara. Fact number 155. The South Pole isn't fixed. The marker is moved each year since the ice it sits on drifts about 10 meters annually. Fact number 156. Some parts of Antarctica are so dry and cold that scientists use them to simulate Mars-like conditions. NASA has even tested rovers there before sending them to space. Fact number 157. The North Pole has no land beneath it. If you stood there, you'd be standing on shifting sea ice, floating over the Arctic Ocean. In contrast, the South Pole rests on a massive landmass buried under ice. Fact number 158. The largest iceberg ever recorded was called Iceberg B-15, which broke off Antarctica in 2000. It measured about 295 kilometers long and 37 kilometers wide, larger than Jamaica. Fact number 159. The Arctic is home to the midnight sun, where the sun doesn't set for months in summer, and the polar night, where darkness lasts for months in winter. Life here runs on a very different clock. Fact number 160. And finally, Antarctica is the only continent without reptiles or terrestrial mammals. Its wildlife is almost entirely marine-based. Penguins, seals, whales, and seabirds, all thriving in the frozen waters. The polar regions remind us that Earth has two faces, one lush and warm, the other frozen and extreme. Both are vital to the balance of our planet. So far, we've traveled through natural wonders, but geography isn't shaped by nature alone. Humanity has carved, built, and transformed the landscape in incredible ways, leaving behind marvels that rival Earth's own creations. Fact number 161. The Panama Canal, completed in 1914, connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Without it, ships would have to travel all the way around South America, a journey shortened by nearly 8,000 nautical miles. Fact number 162. The Suez Canal in Egypt links the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea, making it one of the most important trade routes in the world. Nearly 12% of global trade passes through this narrow waterway. Fact number 163. The Channel Tunnel, often called the Channel, connects England and France beneath the English Channel. At 50 kilometers long, it's one of the longest underwater tunnels on Earth. Fact number 164. The Three Gorges Dam in China is the world's largest power station by capacity. It spans more than 2 kilometers across the Yangtze River and produces enough electricity to power millions of homes. Fact number 165. The Great Wall of China is not a single, continuous wall, but a network of walls and fortifications stretching over 21,000 kilometers. It is the longest man-made structure on Earth. Fact number 166. The Palm Islands in Dubai are artificial islands built in the shape of palm trees. They are visible from space and required millions of tons of rock and sand to construct. Fact number 167. The Hoover Dam on the border of Nevada and Arizona creates Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States. Built during the Great Depression, it remains an engineering icon. Fact number 168. Japan's Seikon Tunnel, at nearly 54 kilometers long, is one of the deepest and longest railway tunnels in the world, running beneath the Tsugaru Strait. Fact number 169. The Burj Khalifa in Dubai, isn't just a skyscraper. At 828 meters tall, it's nearly 3 times the height of the Eiffel Tower, piercing the desert sky. Fact number 170. The Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway line in the world, stretching over 9,200 kilometers from Moscow to Vladivostok. A full journey takes about 7 days of continuous travel. Fact number 171. The Itapu Dam on the Brazil-Paraguay border once held the record for the world's largest hydroelectric output. In a single year, it generated enough power to meet most of Paraguay's electricity needs. Fact number 172. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, isn't the longest or tallest bridge in the world, but it remains one of the most recognizable. Its red runge color designed to stand out against fog. Fact number 173. The Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland is the longest railway tunnel on Earth, running 57 kilometers through the Alps. It took 17 years to complete. Fact number 174. The Mohenjo-Daro ruins in Pakistan, dating back 4,500 years, show one of the earliest examples of advanced urban planning, with streets, drainage systems, and public baths. Fact number 175. And finally, the International Space Station isn't on Earth's surface, but it orbits just above. Yet, in a way, it's the ultimate human-made geographic marvel, a floating city circling our planet every 90 minutes. Humanity may be small compared to mountains and seas, but our creations prove that geography is also about the way people shape the earth, carving paths, building wonders, and bridging continents. After human-made wonders, let's return to nature's own giants, the towering mountains and fiery volcanoes that shape continents and inspire. Fact number 176. The highest mountain on Earth is Mount Everest, standing 8,849 meters above sea level. But if measured from base to peak, the tallest mountain is Mauna Kea in Hawaii, rising over 10,200 meters from the sea floor. Taller than Everest, though most of it is underwater. Fact number 177. The Andes in South America form the longest continental mountain range in the world, stretching 7,000 kilometers along the western edge of the continent. Fact number 178. The Himalayas are still rising. They were formed when the Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate, and they continue to grow about 5 millimeters per year. Fact number 179. The lowest point on land is the shoreline of the Dead Sea. It lies in a deep rift valley formed by tectonic movement. Fact number 180. The Ring of Fire encircles the Pacific Ocean with a chain of volcanoes and earthquakes. About 75% of the world's active volcanoes are located here. Fact number 181. Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania is the highest freestanding mountain in the world, rising 5,895 meters without being part of a larger range. Fact number 182. The largest volcano on Earth is Mauna Loa in Hawaii, covering an area of about 5,200 square kilometers. It's so massive that it makes up nearly half of the big island of Hawaii. Fact number 183. The largest volcano in the solar system isn't on Earth. It's Olympus Mons, standing 22 kilometers high, nearly 3 times the height of Everest. Fact number 184. The Alps, stretching across 8 European countries, are not only beautiful, but geologically young, still being reshaped by tectonic activity. Fact number 185. The highest capital city in the world is La Paz, Bolivia, sitting at 3,640 meters above sea level. Visitors often struggle with altitude sickness upon arrival. Fact number 186. Mount Fuji in Japan is an almost perfectly symmetrical volcano. It's not just a landmark, but also a sacred mountain in Japanese culture. Fact number 187. The largest supervolcano on Earth is the Yellowstone caldera in the United States. Its last major eruption was over 600,000 years ago, and if it erupted again, it would dramatically alter global climate. Fact number 188. In Mexico. Appeared suddenly in a farmer's cornfield in 1943. Within a year, it grew more than 300 meters high, swallowing villages in lava. Fact number 189. The highest unclimbed mountain is Gangkhar Poinsam in Bhutan, at 7,570 meters. Climbing is banned due to local spiritual beliefs, leaving it untouched. Fact number 190. And finally, the Matterhorn, on the border of Switzerland and Italy, is one of the most photographed peaks in the world. Its sharp pyramid shape makes it an icon of the Alps. Mountains rise, volcanoes erupt, and tectonic plates collide, reminding us that Earth is alive, always reshaping itself, even on the grandest of scales. While mountains and deserts shape our planet, human settlements also define geography. Cities are not just dots on a map. They are living landscapes, constantly growing and reshaping the world. Fact number 191. The largest city in the world by population is Tokyo, Japan, with a metropolitan area housing over 37 million people, more than the population of Canada. Fact number 192. The largest city by land area is Ulaanbaatar in Inner Mongolia, China, covering more than 263,000 square kilometers, larger than the entire United Kingdom. Fact number 193. The highest capital city in the world is La Paz, Bolivia, at 3,640 meters above sea level. Its unique geography makes daily life a challenge for newcomers. Fact number 194. The lowest capital city is Baku, Azerbaijan, sitting about 28 meters below sea level along the Caspian Sea. Fact number 195. Venice, Italy, is built on more than 100 small islands linked by canals and bridges. Rising sea levels and sinking ground mean the city faces constant flooding. Fact number 196. Istanbul, Turkey, is the only city in the world located on two continents, Europe and Asia, separated by the Bosporus Strait. Fact number 197. Mexico City was built on a drained lake bed. As a result, parts of the city are slowly sinking, in some areas by nearly 30 centimeters per year. Fact number 198. Cairo, Egypt, is the largest city in Africa, home to more than 20 million people. It sits along the Nile, the lifeline that has supported civilizations for thousands of years. Fact number 199. New York City is home to the world's largest natural harbor, which is one reason it became such a powerful global trade hub. Its 5 boroughs sit where the Hudson River meets the Atlantic Ocean. Fact number 200. And finally, the youngest capital city in the world is Naypyidaw, Myanmar. Officially designated in 2005, built almost from scratch. It features massive highways, some with 20 lanes, but far fewer cars than expected. Cities may rise and fall, but they remain at the heart of human geography, where culture, trade, and history meet. And now, we've arrived at the end of our journey. 100 incredible geography facts, spanning deserts, oceans, mountains, cities, and the very edges of our world. As we've seen, geography is not just about maps or memorizing places. It's about the living, breathing earth, from the drifting stones of Death Valley to the frozen mysteries beneath Antarctica's ice. From human-made marvels like the Panama Canal to natural wonders like the Himalayas. It's about the way rivers carve valleys, volcanoes build new lands, and cities rise, where trade, culture, and history intersect. Fact number 201. Geography is the story of Earth itself and our place upon it. Every mountain climbed, every city built, every coastline eroded by waves. It all adds up to the great interconnected system we call home. So, as you drift into rest, let your mind wander across the world. Imagine floating above Earth, watching continents spread out beneath you. The deserts glow golden, the oceans shimmer blue, the cities sparkle with light, and the polar caps gleam white against the black of space. Every fact, every place, every wonder. Together, they remind us that Earth is not just where we live, but a miracle in motion. And with that, we close our journey. 100 geography facts. One extraordinary planet. Sleep well and dream of the world.